Hey everyone, my name is Corey Reiser, and today I'm going to be breaking down my very first VA loan purchase. It was a condo in Short North in Columbus, Ohio. All right, so when you're using your VA loan, you are going to be looking for properties that are on market. Okay, the way that I found this was I searched for real estate agents. I actually ended up getting a referral from a friend of mine, and that real estate agent and we talked. We spoke with my lender. We figured out what my maximum approval was going to be, like how much I could get approved for based on my income. And then we talked about the areas that I was looking in, areas that she thought would be good. I was new to the city. She knew the city better, had lived here basically her whole life. And we kind of zoned off like little pockets of the city that we thought, I would like to live in because I was going to live in this property for an extended period of time. How did I discover this property? It's actually pretty simple. I just got set up with a real estate agent. I found a trusted real estate agent from a referral from a friend. She would set me up on an email search, and in my inbox, I would get every day, maybe a dozen or so or a couple different properties that I would start looking at. And I would pick the ones that I wanted to go look at that I felt were gonna be right for me, that were not only gonna be a good place to live in, but also when I moved out, I thought were gonna be good rentals, and then we would set up showings. So what did I like about this property specifically that really stood out? The first thing was location. It had a grade A location. It was right on the park. There was going to be nothing that was going to be built across the street, so I knew that I would always have a great view. The layout of the property was awesome. Both of the bedrooms are on opposite sides of the property, which is great for privacy, especially if you're having a short-term tenant or another tenant. You're going to have plenty of privacy. It was also a condo, which I liked because I didn't have to worry about the lawn maintenance or the roof or anything else. And what I found specific for this property, which I really liked, was this condo it's on a corner property. It's on like the corner of the building with great natural lighting, but it's in a stairwell, and this condo is the only property that is on that stairwell, so there was no other foot traffic. So it was very, very quiet, especially for being in like an urban area. So why did I pick this property over, I looked at a couple of other dozen ones. Why did I choose this one versus those? Specifically with the amount of capital that would be required to get it up to renting was basically nothing initially. It was simple cosmetic stuff. I could do a little bit of paint. It had that old kind of ugly popcorn ceiling, and that was really the only thing that I did when I first moved in. Was I scraped that all off. I got it nice and clean, so it was a nice clean painted white ceiling that was nice and smooth, so it looked a little bit more modern and updated. And after that I moved in, and I say this a lot, I say this about other properties that I've purchased and my duplex, is you really want to look for a property that you can personally add, because I did all the work for the majority of this stuff. You want to look for a property that you're not going to have to go out of pocket really much cash up front. Like, you want to be able to relatively move in where it is, like, you're not going to have to replace the roof, or you're not going to have to replace all this big mechanical and electrical and plumbing, and you can just do the simple updates yourself. That's really why I picked this property, was I didn't really have to do much to it, and it was occupant ready. So how did I determine that this was actually going to be a good investment? So I was brand new at the time. This was my first one, so I kind of had in the back of my brain that I was going to make some mistakes, maybe a lot of mistakes, which can happen, but this is the way that I looked at it. I knew that it was a good property. I knew that the plumbing, and I knew that all of the big stuff, to the best of my knowledge, was in good working order. I knew that I wasn't going to have to worry about roof or structure, a lot of other big things. So in my brain, I was thinking, it's a great location. I don't think I'm going to have a lot of really big expenses for the time that I live there and beyond. And I just knew that because it was close to High Street, it was close to the park, it was in a phenomenal location, that I would always have a tenant, or I would always have people that would want to live in that desirable area. Close to the highway, there was a lot of factors that went into it. And in all of the people that I spoke with, other investors, my real estate agent, and just people in the neighborhood that I ended up talking to, they all thought that, oh, this is a great area, it's growing, there's a lot of cool stuff going on here. And I felt that that was good enough for me to take the risk on my first one and make it work from there. All right, so let's talk some quick financials. So I purchased this property for $300,000. Because I used my VA loan, I had about a 2% funding fee that went into the cost of the loan. So I purchased at $300,000, and the total loan amount was for just around $306,000. So instead of providing a down payment, that 2% VA funding fee goes into the loan, and I owed no down payment for this property. Because I worked with my real estate agent and the seller, and there was an issue with the windows, I was able to negotiate a seller credit, which is just they write me a check at closing. The bank doesn't have any part in it. It's just from the seller to me. I got a quote for what it would take to replace the windows and get them fixed. It was the window seals, very common. And I got a check for $3,000 at closing. I actually got paid $3,000 to buy my first property with the VA loan. No down payment, I got a check for $3,000. It was awesome. Now what I will say is that doesn't happen all the time, but the more you know about what your options are, can I get a seller credit? Can I, do a less money down, and can we put more into the cost of the actual loan? I don't know what's gonna be right for you, but what I would encourage you to do is go out and learn as much as you can about your options, because then once you know more, you can figure out what's gonna actually be right for you. So over time, this property, I have increased the rent over the last couple of years. My taxes, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and my condo fees for this property specifically are about $1,900. So some quick expenses and cash flow on this property. My monthly expenses for this condo are about $1,900. That includes principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, plus my condo fees. And I currently have this property rented for $2,500. I've had these tenants in there for 3 years. They've been great, never missed a payment, always take great care of the property. And I make about $500 a month in passive cash flow, and that is a portion of what I need to live, and it's been awesome. So along my financial freedom journey, I always explain and I teach about how I was trying to replicate my active income. So let's just say that I made $5,000 a month. With this condo, that's $500 in cash flow. So that is 10% of what I need to live on a monthly basis. So if you think in terms of if I buy a property and whatever it cash flows at, the percentage of that total amount that you need in monthly income, if you're replicating that percentage, now you're just that much closer to getting to your financial freedom. So my plans for this property, I am a buy and hold investor. I like buying a property, holding on to it for a while, maintaining it properly, and then watching the cash flow increase as time goes on. Couple of options that I could potentially pursue with this property, and only really time will tell. First one is I hold on to it, I have pretty good interest rates, it cash flows, and over time, rent will probably slowly increase and I'll be able to increase my cash flow on the property. The second option is because I purchased it with my VA loan, I have the option to eventually refinance out of it into a conventional mortgage, free up my allocation of my VA loan to go use at another property that I would go owner occupy. So if, depending on rates and rent and how much the property is valued at, what it would appraise for, all of these factors kind of contribute into what I could potentially do with it or what I'm gonna end up doing with it. But right now, cash flow is great for me. I've got awesome tenants, the property's in awesome shape, and it's appreciating steadily, so kind of just along for the ride for right now. So thanks for joining me on today's video. I hope you got something from this. My goal was to share my very first experience, and the first time you do anything, it's always scary. There's always doubt in your mind that something could go wrong, and you just don't have the knowledge up front. But the purpose of me sharing this with you guys is to encourage you to go out, get into real estate, take advantage of your VA loan, and challenge yourself to provide for your financial future, because real estate is one of the things that I did along my financial freedom journey. It was the number one thing that I did to get me out of the military to be working for myself today. Thanks for tuning in for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you did, I'd appreciate a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, throw them down in the comments and we'll make sure to get back.